Dacus, president of the Pacific Justice Institute. He believes Disney is on solid legal ground and well within its rights to ask Miss Bludahl to remove her headdress. Also with us tonight, Fred Thiagaraja. He is an attorney specializing in labor law. Fred believes it's all about freedom of religious expression. He says Disney is unfairly discriminating against Miss Bludahl by not reasonably accommodating her. Fred, let me start with you. You obviously side with Iman. Tell me, is she within her rights, and Disney does not have a right here to make her wear a costume?
That's exactly right. In this country, both the Title VII, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and in California, the Fair Employment and Housing Act guarantees individuals basically a defense against religious persecution at the workplace. And that's exactly what the issue is. Disney is penalizing Ms. Bludahl for engaging in, rightful religious freedom.
Brad, you say that Disney is on solid legal ground. Why?
Oh, absolutely. While Fred is right, Title VII does protect employees with regard to reasonable accommodation that sincerely have religious beliefs. By no means, based on case law and the established law, by no means requires an employer to skirt their dress codes or apparel codes that Disney has so clearly articulated. It also makes it very clear that if an employer engages in a policy like this and neutrally applies it to everyone, then they're generally protected, particularly if it involves an employee who's interacting with the customers. That's what the courts look at. In this case, I think it's pretty much going to be probably a slam dunk in Disney's favor based upon the facts of this case.
Now let me ask you, Fred, the notion that she is a cast member and that she's wearing a costume, not necessarily a uniform, are they just trying to get around the law? Is that something that you may have considered in your argument?
That's Carlos, you're exactly right. That's exactly what they're doing. They're calling it a costume in order to skirt the law, but in actuality, it's just a uniform. And the fact of the matter is, this hijab does not affect Ms. Bludahl's performance of her job in any way, shape, or form. She's a hostess. It's not like she has to wear like a Mickey Mouse costume and this headdress can't go over, Mickey Mouse's ears. The fact of the matter is she works as a hostess. What she's supposed to do, she's supposed to greet people, say hello, be polite, and she can do all of these things, perform all of her duties wearing her religious headdress.
But there is a question clearly here, though, that she did do the job before without the headdress, and suddenly she decides that she's going to wear the headdress and change the rules that were applied to her, and now she wants Disney to accommodate her.
I'm glad you asked that question, Carlos, because there is a little bit of a backdrop to the story here. Ms. Bludahl recently became a U.S. citizen, so all this time when she was working as an immigrant, and now she just recently passed her citizenship exam, and only while passing her citizenship exam did she learn of her constitutional rights to wear her religious headdress.
I want to comment on that. Hey, as far as the constitutional rights, she has no constitutional rights working for a private employer with regards to her headdress. Now, with regards to Title VII, case law doesn't require that she have to wear a certain costume. Instead, it's the uniform. And Disney has very professionally, very articulated a very clear uniform policy that applies to everyone. Let me just change the facts. If, in fact, there was an employee, for example, who was a Sikh and was allowed to wear a headdress, and then they told her that she couldn't wear hers in accordance with her Islamic faith, then that totally changed the facts of the case, and I think there'd be a different outcome.
In fact, Brad, there was a Sikh who actually filed suit against Disney in Orlando, and they actually settled that case out of court, so we don't know what the determination was. So that, that actually has come up before.
Right.
And if it was a slam dunk, then the case wouldn't have settled out of court. And the fact of the matter, there is an issue here, and it's about religious persecution. And, Brad is technically right. There is no constitutional right because the Constitution applies to the federal government. However, Title VII and the Fair Employment Housing Act in California protects an individual's right, an employee's right with respect to their employer. And what it really comes down to is it comes down to religious freedom. We're talking about a country, our country, that was founded by people who fled England from religious persecution. And we have Disney here penalizing someone for that exact same principle.
Yeah, I'll let you have the last
one. Let me just say, as far as religious freedom, I found the Pacific Justice Institute. We defend religious freedom. We defended countless numbers of employees and employers, for that matter, on these religious freedom grounds to defend religious freedom. But we have to realize that there is a reasonable boundary that when you're dealing with employers, when you're telling them that they cannot enforce their own uniform policy with regard to the attire that employees are wearing that are representing them before their customers. Disney is a classic American icon. They have an established reputation with regards to their uniform. I really think that they have a very solid case, and I'd be very surprised with a different outcome.
Well,
Brad, I
to
thought
watch.
this was a small world, Brad.
Fred, I'm afraid that'll have to be the last word. Brad Dickus and Fred Theodorou, thank you so much for being with us and shedding some light on this very interesting subject. Now, it's your turn back at home to sound off on this.